I have a confession to make. I've never spoken this in public, and I believe it's time for me to speak it now. I was a thief. I was a robber. I convinced people to give me their money. Actually, I was a salesperson. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with selling. In fact, it's a very credible profession. I'm just telling you that the word sell had become a really negative four-letter word for me. We all sell. Let me ask you this. Raise your hand if you've ever convinced someone to go see a movie that you really wanted to see. How about this? You convinced someone to go to a restaurant because you really wanted to eat there. So we all sell. And by the way, we start selling at a young age because selling is very natural to us. It comes natural. We sell when we go to school because we want friends. We sell our teachers because we want them to think we're smart. We sell to get dates and then maybe to get life partners. Then we sell to get a job. Then we sell to get a promotion. And we may be selling right now to get customers or clients or patients. We all do it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's natural. So let me share a story with you. I was with my teenage cousin just a few weeks ago, and she happens to be an incredible baker. And she said to me, I really want you to taste my chocolate cookies, and they've got peanut butter and oatmeal. They're delicious, and they're gooey, and they're amazing. And she told me how long she baked them, and they sounded really, really good. And so I asked her a question. I said, I can't eat gluten. Do the cookies have gluten? She said, oh, no problem at all. There's no gluten. By the way, she was overcoming my first objection. And then she said, they're made with oats. Oats are really good. I said, okay. Then I threw out my second objection. And I said, I don't eat any processed foods, so I don't eat flour. Do these cookies have flour? She proceeded to overcome that objection. Remember, she's a teenager, no sales training. And she said, well, it's oats. It's oat flour, but oats are good for you. They're really good for you to eat. They're good for your heart. They're good for your bloodstream, so you can have a cookie. Then I threw out my third objection, and I asked, do the cookies have any form of sugar? Because I don't eat sugars. She said, that's no problem. They have stevia. Now, stevia is not a sugar. It's made from a plant. It's really good for you, so you can have the cookie. Brilliantly overcame all three objections. And then she went to put a cookie on my plate. That's called going for the clothes, okay? All coming very natural to her. And this is what I did. I backed up, and I said, no, thank you. They look delicious. I'm sure they're amazing, but I really can't eat the cookies. And actually, I really wanted to get away from the cookie pusher. Now, my cousin, her intentions were totally pure. All she wanted to do was share her cookies with me. She was really excited about them and really wanted me to taste them. However, when I was selling, I felt like a convincer and I felt like a thief. And in this instance, when I was being sold, it was the same thing. I wanted to get away. It didn't feel good. And you know, when I was selling, I used to make a lot of money at sales. Every time I sold, I felt sick. I was actually working myself sick. And I decided something had to change. Something had to shift. So the way I backed away from her made me realize people love to buy. I love to buy. People really don't like to be sold. Has this ever happened to you? Have you ever gone to a networking event where someone is pushing a concept or an idea on you and you just want to get away from them, or they're pushing a business card in your hand? Does that ever happen? How about, have you ever deleted a Facebook friend because they're saying something that you just don't want pushed on you? So that's what it's like. You back away. So I realized I had to totally forget everything I knew about sales. Because think about it, if my cousin with no sales training, a teenager, could be that convincing with no training, imagine me and other salespeople you've probably met who can be very manipulating, who can overcome objection after objection, who are attached to an outcome and winning the sale. I said, I can't do it that way anymore. I have to forget everything they ever taught me in sales. I have to redefine that four-letter word, sell, and make it something that actually feels good. So instead of getting sick after every sale, I could actually work myself happy. And I said, how am I going to do that? So I looked back on all of my training. I had training as a speech-language pathologist. I said, oh, sales should be a different way of communicating, a different form of communicating. I'm a business consultant. I said, wait, sales should be more consultative. That's it. And then I said, well, I'm also a business coach. Maybe sales should be less advising and more helping. And I also have training as a clinical psychologist, and I said, no, I get it. Sales needs to be more authentic, more transparent, and coming from a place of integrity. And I made a decision. If I'm going to stay in sales, I am going to sell in this way. And it became something that changed my career and my life. And let me tell you why. When I changed and decided just to be focused on other people's outcome, this is the shift I made, the transformation. No longer attached to my agenda. No longer caring in business or life to push my views, my beliefs, my products, my services on anyone. And instead, I literally cared about the other person. What is it that they want? If I can help them get what they want, I'll offer it. So here's what happens in business. If someone wants consulting services and they're asking me questions, I listen carefully and I ask myself, can I truly help them and get them to the outcome that they want? If the answer is yes, I offer my services. If it's no, I don't overcome any objections. I don't manipulate. I let it go. And by the way, I have been able to create more income and more sales doing it this way, and I no longer feel sick. I actually love doing it this way. Let me tell you, this also works in your personal life. In your personal life, I have been able to deepen relationships with family and friends. So if my husband calls me and he says, let's go to dinner, I say, what kind of food do you want? If he says, I'm in the mood for steak, I'll recommend a couple of steakhouses. I'm not attached to my own outcome or agenda. I am now literally working myself happy by shifting that four-letter word sell and learning to become interested versus interesting. So let me ask you a question. Are you working yourself happy? Really take a moment and think about this. Is there one thing that you could transform in your business just a little bit, just the way I did, a little shift that could make all the difference? Take a moment and think about one thing that doesn't feel quite right yet, that isn't completely authentic, transparent, and in integrity. Just imagine shifting that one thing just a little bit. I'm going to make you a promise. If you find that one thing, and if you transform that one thing a little bit, you will have more success in your business. You will have more happiness in your life. And in fact, you will be working yourself happy.